Good morning and welcome to another day, another episode of Morning Fog with Dr. Mark and Liz. Good morning, Liz.
Good morning, Mark. How you doing today?
Oh, we are absolutely awesome this morning.
Love it. Love it. It is a beautiful winter day and we have an awesome topic to talk about, which is so important. We even just did our weekly wisdom on it, but we just want to reinforce it because it's really something that we want people to really understand, in particular, beginning of the year, just to try and think about how to motivate yourself. And that topic is grit.
Oh, yes. Yes. Fantastic. It's it's amazing. One of my favorite movies was named that actually with John Wayne, but the fact is that it's even more powerful when you think about what grit really is. So, what is grit? Well, it's a personality trait and one that really delivers success in life. It's the ability to have perseverance and determination and a really strong work ethic to pursue long-term goals. It's not the short-term wins, it's the ability to focus on the long term and really stick to itiveness of being perseverant, determined, and doing whatever it takes to get to your goal.
In particular, in the face of difficulty. So, people who have the personality trait of grit, it's not just pushing yourself to do more, it's pushing yourself. We always say helping people overcome their obstacles and turn them into opportunities. That's what grit is. Grit is working through the hard stuff. Grit is still in the middle of the storm saying, I'm still pushing through no matter what, because what's outside of that storm is what I want. So I can work through whatever's in this storm. And I know that there's something better way out there.
It's having that knowing in yourself that although each day appears to be that you're living the role of Sisyphus and rolling the hill or rolling the stone rather up the hill, that eventually you will get it over the top of the hill so it won't roll back down again and you will have succeeded in spite of the challenge, in spite of the difficulty.
That was a great example because grit is about not just working hard, but working smart so you can achieve whatever goals that you want to achieve. And there are so many people who we can talk about grit, but Mark, let's talk about you and how you used grit to get through some challenging days in your life.
I've probably had grit all along. I remember back very briefly as a magician, escape artist, having a straight jacket put on me for the first time and having to work for hours and hours, sweating, getting bruised, trying to figure out how to get out of the straight jacket. And once I figured it out, I put it as part of my act. I also went to a very unique college. Most people's college experience was not like mine.
No.
Like the people who go to West Point or Annapolis or Citadel, I went to the Virginia Military Institute, and your first year is a rough one. It's one of indoctrination. It's one of challenge, and they called it the rat line at VMI. And all of a sudden you realize that you are not meant to always succeed. I remember the day I came out with shine shoes and they looked really great, nice spit shine on them, and it wasn't good enough because somebody came up and scuffed my shoe on purpose just to get me in trouble. And you learn quickly that that's sometimes what happens in life, that everything you do and all of a sudden you fall flat. We would wake up and one of the upperclassmen would be playing the old song, Another One Bites the Dust, because we started off with several hundred and we, at the end of the 4 years there, had just about lost 50% of our classmates due to attrition. They couldn't take it. So, you learn how to just focus and stay motivated, stay engaged, find that internal place and that internal compass, no matter how bad the storm is in front of you. And you put it into low four-wheel drive and you just push through the mud and the muck, and you get there.
Well, it sounds like it's a mindset that you knew what you wanted and you wanted to graduate from VMI. So you knew you had to get through that rat line. You didn't know when it would be done. This is the part that I find so fascinating is that most of the rat lines you said were pretty much everybody got over that
Oh,
hump.
the breakout now is very early, but breakouts back then were in the around this time of the year, January, February. But ours was the end of April, and so we spent virtually the entire year in the rat line. But the attitude, the mindset that you talk about is exactly what it is. And at VMI, the mindset is three very simple words: never say die.
And
Never
now,
say die.
how did that mindset, and you're right, you probably, it's a personality. So you probably always had it within you, but getting through that rat line and being known in history as the longest rat line at VMI ever, how did you then use that to succeed in all the other things in your life?
Oh, it's a mindset that you have with you, but you get it honed through that process. The
Mhm.
more you do it, the more you sort of live by it. Going to medical school, it took me a few tries to get into medical school, and I could have walked away when a director of admissions told me that I would never be a physician. I just couldn't do it. And I turned around and in a few years graduated from a much better medical school than she was the dean of, and honestly graduated cum laude with honors. Why? Because I determined that that's what I wanted to be. And yes, it wasn't an easy process, either getting in or staying in or keeping that sort of a grade point average. But the fact is that it was a matter of grit.
Yeah. And there, everybody has the ability to apply it. It really is a mindset. Some people, have a character trait of perseverance as being, their number one character trait. I happen to be one of them. But it is a mindset. You have to be able to know and trust and believe in yourself, as you said, turn inward, say, I can do this. I can do this because I want whatever it is on the other side of the storm. And there are so many famous people that have persevered. And one of my favorites is Oprah Winfrey, but you also talk about Steve Harvey. Look at Tony Robbins, Pitbull, Walt Disney. I mean, you can go down the list of people who, the Wright brothers, who Thomas Edison, who pushed through because they believed in themselves and what they wanted on the other side. It's really fascinating when you look back on a lot of those people. They didn't just get there. They didn't all of a sudden just become famous. They lived tough lives, a lot of them before they got to where they are today. And they just had that determination, that perseverance to keep going. And that's really what we want to share with our audience today is that if there's something that you're passionate about, if there's a goal that you have, all you need to do is change is set your mind to it. It's a mindset. Then you need to make sure that your goal is achievable. Make sure it's a SMART goal. And SMART goals stand for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. Is your goal SMART? And then lastly, ask for support. Have people hold you accountable. Have people like at VMI, you and your brother rats had each other. You got yourselves through together. So you had the mindset, but you also relied on each other to, I'm sure every day wasn't easy. And there might have been days where you wanted to quit, but then you had brother rats who had your back, who helped get you through.
100%. And that was a college experience of trial by fire. And there are brother rats of mine that, are just, they will never be anything other than than brothers. That's exactly who they are. And, you know, uh, some very special ones. Give a couple of quick shout outs here if I could. John Poloni and Dean Barr, Paul Munson, uh, Kurt Schoonmaker, and one that we just lost this past summer, Michael Hastings. but really extraordinary, extraordinary people. And I hold them as close to my heart as any real brother. So
And you still turn to them today when you have crisis or problems. And that's what that's about. It's grit isn't just go it alone. Grit is get support. You might need support to help you through things. And as long as you have that mindset and as long as you have those smart goals, turn to people to help you. Turn to people to, for feedback. And we do that with our coaching. We have a coach, we've several coaches that we work with because we want feedback. We want people that we can turn to. But what we want to leave everybody here with today is a book that we have both read that is all about grit.
is
And
awesome.
it's fantastic. It's an easy read. It doesn't matter what age you are. Well, obviously to be able to read, but it can work for high schoolers, college people, adults, seniors. It doesn't matter. But it's called Chop Wood, Carry Water by Joshua Metcalf. And it's a fantastic read. It talks about many famous people who got to where they are because of their grit.
And by
And
the way, it's an allegory. It's not a
yeah,
hard read. It's an allegory. It's a wonderful story that teaches a an abundance of lessons in a short time, and it's absolutely wonderful.
and it's about grit. It's about trusting the process. It's about mindset. It's all about mindset. I mean, the whole thing is mindset, but it's really trusting the process. And there is a process to everything in life. And you may be in the middle of a storm and you want to get the heck out of it, but guess what? Maybe it's not time to get out of it. So you have to just have the mindset that you can get through it, however long your storm's going to be.
Exactly. And if you do that, you will always win in life because regardless of your circumstances, you are in control.
With that being said, we hope you enjoyed the podcast. And until next time,
Have an absolutely extraordinary day.
you too.